go after the business, but go after business you love. Like I would look at these photos of these homes and I'd say, I love that kitchen. Like that's not a lie. I'm not sure like that the passion is there. I'm going to show it and I'm going to bring my feminine energy to show it.
Everybody, welcome back to In the House podcast. I'm Toni Singh.
Good morning, I'm Jenny Woon.
And we have two awesome guests today, Ms. Sidra Subzwari and MANDEEP BASI of Pacific Real Estate and also licensed through Angell Hasman and Associates. Welcome.
Welcome to our show.
Thanks for having us.
So we're going to not forget our most important question to you this morning. We have a question for each of you. This is just the icebreaker question. What are each of your spirit animals?
I know this one.
What's your?
My spirit animal. I would have to say it's a killer whale.
Ooh.
I love orchids. I also wanted to be a marine biologist before, so that's probably why.
I didn't know that about you, Sidra. And MANDEEP?
I would have to say a lion.
Did you say lion?
Lion.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm not surprised about that.
You guys are a dynamic duo, so please tell us and share with our audience how many years have you guys been in the business, why you got into real estate in the first place, and what you did kind of before you got into this profession.
I've been in the business for almost 8 years now, I want to say, between 7 and 8. I actually started real estate when I was 23 years old. And I came from a bit of a corporate background. I had a 9-to-5 and I worked in the office. I did have a sales position at one of the larger corporations in Canada, which was great. It was really good learning experience. But through that channel and through some of the connections that I made within that network, it sort of morphed into real estate over time. But that's ultimately where I started. I was 23 when I started.
You're a baby.
Awesome.
I was, a little young.
I've been in the real estate business for about 5.5 years now. And I started before real estate. My career was in wealth management on the financial planning side of things. Both with a credit union and one of the bigger the banks in the Lower Mainland here.
And MANDEEP, why did you get into real estate?
It's something that I've always wanted to do. From high school to university, my background and education was all about economics and wealth management. Throughout the years, real estate was something that I've always wanted to do. And I got to a point in my career where I had the opportunity to make a switch 5 years ago, which I did, just to try it out. And here I am. So I haven't gone back to wealth management. It's something that I truly enjoy doing.
What's interesting is, when you look at a lot of successful partnerships out there, it's common for one of the partners to have a completely different style and skill set than the other, right? That's why there's so much synergy. So Sidra, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you're more passionate about sales and marketing. And would it be accurate to say that MANDEEP is the numbers guy, which would, I'm curious actually how you guys developed or formed your partnership, because it would relate to what you're both working on now, right? Which is selling pre-sale developments.
Yeah, that's a great
Pretty accurate.
You are on the ball with that. In the office here, the team, myself, our admin, MANDEEP is deemed the numbers guy. That's like his thing. So yeah. And I do love sales and marketing. I'd say that's some of my favorite aspects of real estate, whether it's the luxury homes we sell or now with some of the pre-sales that we've been doing in the last couple of years. I love it. I love looking at the marketing angle, really understanding who the buyer is and then creating a strategy around that. But MANDEEP is absolutely the numbers guy.
Yeah, and I would say that's accurate. So I love looking at market trends, both macro and microeconomics, where the market is going, where demand is going, interest rates changing and just the overall landscape of the Lower Mainland market. Love doing that research and looking at numbers to see how to best position us as a team and how to best position our clients, whether it's purchasing their first home or an investment property.
Mm-hmm.
And how did your partnership transpire to be now what it is today?
I can answer that
Yeah.
one. I'll answer. Mandeep was my client. He was actually my client. So it was, again, I think it was just before you got into real estate, maybe the year before that. I was approached by Mandeep in regards to an investment unit that he had in South Surrey. So him and some of his investment partners, they had a condo and they were selling their condo. And so he called me and said, I'm not sure if you do this or not. It looks like you do a lot of luxury stuff, but will you sell my investment condo? I said, of course I would. I would love to. So I ended up selling it for him. And then what was it? It was probably a couple months after that or so. Then he had let me know. He said, you know what? I've actually been exploring the opportunity of getting into real estate. And I knew at that time that which bank he worked for, and he did very well. And I said, okay, let's sit down, let's talk. So we did. And I remember meeting you at Islands Cafe, and we talked about doing some business together. And I remember talking to him saying, okay, well, what's your why? Because I work really hard. So what are you going to bring to the table? What are you going to do? And I have learned over the years, I thought I worked hard. He's another level. But yeah, that's
I like the
ultimately
question though. What's your why? Very important. So we have some fun questions too, but I'm just kind of curious just because you guys have such different skill sets. Like I'm sure that you're good at all of these things, but your specific skill sets, how does that work when you guys are dealing with clients or, for example, taking on a project? Who's handling what and at what stage? Like, for example, do you do land acquisition as well? Because then that would be numbers performers, right? Perhaps that's Mandeep. And then, like, how does that dynamic work?
We work well as a team, so we feed off for each other's strengths. So in regards to land acquisition, both of us will sit down and just crunch the numbers on the more of the conservative side of things. I think we do have our individual skill sets, but we work extremely well together and bounce ideas off of each other to make sure both the numbers make sense, that location makes sense, and then what we're trying to develop from that, say, pre-sale marketing building, that our target audience, the way we structure the building is speaking to the target audience there. Even though we have our individual strengths, I think teamwork-wise, we bounce ideas and question each other's reasoning as to why we're going to build out the building to ensure that we come up with that we're in sync, right, for our developers there. That's
true, actually, and we'll sit down in the boardroom where we are now, and Mandeep will come forward and say, hey, you know what? Last night I put this together. This is my pro forma. What's yours? And although numbers are, again, that's more so his skill sets, not to say that we don't keep in sync in terms of what's going on in the market. But I'll come forward and say, no, you know what? I'm feet on the street here. This is what I think here. And we really kind of go to bat and say, well, what do you think is the happy medium for our client? But with that being said, I'd say our individual skill sets, and at different points, we certainly do, go, we can't be everywhere together. So, when it comes to that land performer that you're talking about, Toni, or whether it comes to doing, the build out of the building and the price per square foot, that is certainly more Mandeep. And then I'll come forward and say, okay, well, if we're going to achieve this price per square foot, these are some of the amenities we can have. Here's some of the, the insight in terms of design and working within the team. So I hope that answers your questions specifically around the pre-sale front. But yeah, that's what we do.
Mostly because it looks like this is a really strong collaboration where you're bringing out each other's strengths. I mean, I'm not saying that you don't have the other strengths, right? But you're bringing out each other's competitive advantage, and then there's synergy, right? Which is why a lot of these partnerships with, your favorite thing of doing things, like if you love numbers, sure. If you love sales and marketing, great. And how can you marry them together to best help serve the client? So it sounds like that's possibly one of the reasons why your guys' partnership is so successful. Could you share with us a little bit more about Pacific Real Estate and what your guys' vision is, or what's exciting you at the end of the day with building your current team and structure?
Sure. So both of us were individual agents when we started. So even when Mandeep came to me and said, hey, look, I'm getting into real estate, I said, you're so good. Enjoy I'll be here to assist. We can collaborate and co-list, and you do your thing and I'll do my thing. And we did. We were at different brokerages when he first started, and I was at Angell Hasman at the time, and we did so many co-lists together. So we ended up forming Pacific Real Estate over the years.
Mm-hmm.
We now have 3 amazing associates, an admin who runs our entire back end, which we're really lucky to have. So it's a team of 6 of us total. And with Pacific, I think our goal was really to create something where everybody felt that it was just as much theirs as much as it was our baby. We played with the idea of saying, okay, well, Basi SUBSZWARI team or Subzwari, and mind you, our names are not easy to pronounce. That's a whole other ballgame. But we really believe in creating almost like a house where our associates and our team we're a unit. And with Pacific, that's what we're really striving to create. We have a new office that's under construction, so we're excited about that launch coming up next month. I'd say that's a lot of where we're going.
Yeah, or it's truly a team where everybody feels the team is theirs. We're very open, transparent. We all work as one big function, right, overall, and everybody's pretty hands-on for all our projects that we're doing, including our residential single-family homes, to our townhomes, to our condo projects. So, yeah, it's a team built on full team hard work, and we're all on the same page.
Yeah, because it was a bit of a transition from doing our own unit, and I was running under my name and he was running under his name. And when we created Pacific, it was a bit of an uphill battle for the first little bit because people didn't know who was behind it. And we were so used to working kind of quietly behind the scenes on what we do. We realized, man, we got to let people know, who's behind what we're doing. And the single family element of our business is just as important as our projects as well. So having that all housed under Pacific with different wings has been kind of nice to see.
So the 4 other agents joined after Pacific Real Estate was formed?
Yes, correct.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. I want to ask I think it's an important question because it sounds like you guys are expanding very quickly. You're trying to do it in a way that's authentic to both of yourselves. I'm curious, like whenever there's a really impactful business journey, it often has to do with an individual personal journey as well. So I'm curious, my question is, for each of you, is there a specific time or situation in your life that you would say has shaped your business and also helped shape you as a leader? Let's start with MANDEEP.
Sorry, a specific time or?
Yeah, because you know how as entrepreneurs, business people, real estate agents, sometimes it's overcoming a personal journey in order to succeed in that professional realm. And I'm just curious as to you, it could be something that you've overcome either professionally or personally that you feel has impacted your current, like you're building this team at Pacific Real Estate, you guys are partnered up together. What would that be if you were to look back?
Been part of a lot of successful teams where the team was built out with everybody's strengths cohesively working together to achieve a single goal. For me, I'm a big believer that working together, using everybody's strengths cohesively, and everybody being on the same page. Everybody has their own motivation to be successful, own motivation to get to a certain level. As long as we can allow everybody to master that one skill set or a couple skill sets, allow everybody to work in those areas without having to overlap certain aspects, and all being on the same page, having fun, staying focused, that you can achieve an ultimate goal. For me, our teams have been successful where you reward everybody. Everybody's not going to be a superstar in all different areas, but building that cohesive team where we all feel like family, having fun at the same time, is where the environment and my whole background in sports and in banking, um, we were able to develop teams that were top performing teams in different regions, no matter what the economic conditions were at that time. Um, it's always been successful. So right now, for my goal, personal goal for Pacific Real Estate is to be a very extremely successful team. But we're hiring everybody to. We're not trying to get them to work just like us. Everybody's got their own motivation, their own skill sets. Letting them work on those skill sets and be the best who they can be in that skill set. And if we can put that puzzle all together, we would be a successful team.
What about like, but that's now. Have you had any challenges?
I've had challenges from, I guess a major one was out of high school. There were a few years where my health wasn't the best, I would say. So I wasn't able to basically go post-secondary right out of high school or come home. It took a few years medically for the doctors to figure out what was going on and so forth. So essentially that put me back a few years, but it really did teach me that there is a solution to everything out there. As long as you take the right steps, stay focused, continue to work hard, everything is achievable as long as you set a long-term goal. Trying to accomplish something overnight, it sounds great, but it's trying to stay consistent and staying focused will allow you to achieve certain goals, and just really breaking down your goals into single individual steps, focusing on those and mastering those and moving on to the next step. So those few years where everybody else were in post-secondary, finishing post-secondary, starting their jobs, and I was just starting to get into post-secondary and watching everybody around me being 3-4 years ahead, did really teach me that if you do take it one step at a time, continue to stay focused, practice your craft, you'll get there where everybody else is, right? So that was early in my career, early before I jumped into education or workforce. I think those 3 years really allowed me to take a step back and put everything into perspective.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no worries.
And Sidra?
That's such a good question. I'm thinking back, and as MANDEEP was talking, I was thinking about when I graduated and where I saw myself. And real estate wasn't on my to-do or on my journey per se, but I think I mentioned at the beginning I wanted to be a marine biologist. I had actually moved to London, England for what would have been a total of about a year, so 6 months at a time, came back and then went back again. And I worked corporate, and it was a good job. It was comfortable, but I felt that I had made it almost my baby. I would work 9 to 5. I'd bring it home. And while that was happening, my family had some moving parts on the back end. I have 2 sisters. I have an older and a younger. And my older sister had moved away to England. She'd gotten married. And my family, between my mom and my dad, there were some moving parts. And I remember coming home, by the time I'd get home from work, and I worked in Vancouver. And so I'd drive out here, and it was, it'd be late in the day, and I'd come home, and I'd unfortunately see, my dad maybe not in the best state mentally, and same with my mom. So I just realized, I was like, it's tough, and to be able to give, and I also took a lot of that onus on myself during those couple of years. And I don't want to beat around the bush in terms of what we're going into, but it was a hard time for me. It was a hard transitional time for me because I was on that career path and that journey of my next promotion, and I was the youngest person in that role throughout Canada at that time. I think I was around everybody who had degrees and everything else. But I took a step back, and I thought, okay, I want to spend more time at home. I also need to pay more bills, and that was quite a lifestyle change on my end. And ultimately, through my job, I had been introduced to some people that were in the real estate field and just doing an incredible job. They were so inspiring to me. and I was able to learn and had some mentors in the business early on. But that couple of years really taught me, you hard times, sure, they'll set you back, but I think it was Steve Jobs that says, you'll connect the dots looking backward, maybe not forward. So looking back now, I think I learned the most during that period of my time. It was also, again, one of the most challenging periods in my life.
Mm-hmm. Wow. You guys are so well known in the South Surrey White Rock market and surrounding areas. Of course, you guys have a diverse portfolio, but it seems like you've really specialized in that luxury market. Was that intentional, or has that just been a gradual shift because of your financial background and just the way you carry yourself, Sidra? It's so elegant. How did you kind of niche into that market?
I'd say it was more organic than anything else. I don't think when we started out, I can certainly say that I didn't start out saying I'm going to be, a luxury real estate agent in White Rock. Some of these homes I get to sell, I still like pinch myself. I'm like, oh, these were just beautiful. I didn't grow up in that, and I wasn't privy to some of that. So I'm still so grateful. And when I look back, but it was very organic. Like I remember I had gone door knocking, and I kind of thought, hey, and I remember my mentor at the time he told me, he said, you know what, just go for it. Like, not enough people go for some of these big homes, so don't go under this radar that you're not good enough or you can't do it. So anyway, I went after a couple expireds and I got one, and
Nice.
did a great job. It ended up being, we just worked hard and got the job done. But through our referral basis, like oddly enough, we didn't do a lot of advertising over the years. Now with the team, we want to make it, we're getting out there more. We're making sure we're doing everything we can for them too. But personally, a lot of our business came through the referral network, of which a lot of our clients also live close by one another. So when you sell one home in White Rock, you get another one close by in Ocean Park. But we also live here. So I think that makes it easier.
A lot easier. And so how is your team structured? Like, do you guys take care of the marketing for the agents that are part of your team? And then there's like a referral back to the team leaders? Okay.
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. We have an in-house marketing team. So, the same team that takes care of some of our pre-sales, as well as the luxury brochures that we do for our clients. We make sure that we offer that to our team members as well.
As Jenny mentioned, your guys' portfolio in selling real estate is very diverse. I'm curious as to, so let's say the luxury clients that you're dealing with versus maybe the developers that you're doing these performers for. Is there a specific difference in communicating with those different client profiles that you've noticed, and what would that be?
Well, we try to keep our communications key. Relationships are key, so we try to be consistent on both sides in regards to our proactive communication to keep everybody updated. I think both sides of real estate, we keep it very consistent, that we ensure that all of our clients, whether it's a condo, townhouse, luxury home, or a project, that we keep our communication and keep our clients up to date consistently throughout any real estate transaction or any type of real estate product.
Yeah, and I'd say a lot of it is also the language and what's important to the client, because our clients, so for example, if we're selling their home that they've lived in for 20 years where they raise their kids, we try to understand their goals and what the next step would be and what really we're trying to achieve there. When you're working with a developer, oftentimes, of course they want to get the best bang for their buck. They want to do a great job. They want a development that stands out in the community, build their reputation. I know you guys are so good at this for your clients because I see you guys doing it too. So that's really, I'd say a lot of it comes down to understanding client goals. And for our developers, this is their business. But for our home clients, like luxury home clients, or anybody really, whether they live in a $500,000 condo, we always say we want to treat them the same, and we strive to do that. But our conversations really change depending on the goals. So understanding we want to get the most, but we'll take us a year to sell, but this is our price. Understanding that, or hey, things have changed in our household, and here's what we need to do. And we go ahead and we go in and assess. Okay, if we get X as your price, what's the next step? Where
Mm-hmm.
can we go ahead and help you? So we really try to provide an all-around solution for our clients. And the communication that Mandeep's talking about often comes from how they want to be communicated. And we ask them, do you want us to bug you every week and let you know? Do you want us to bug you every day?
Yeah.
Or do you just not want to hear until you have good news?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
how
And,
we,
and that can depend a lot on personality style too of the
it's
client.
very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You get an analytical client, and we make sure we send them data, and that's Mandeep article data every day. You know, hey guys, this is what's going on. Just so you know, this is happening. And some of
Mm-hmm.
our clients will say, "Can you stop? Like, I'm good. Just message me in a week. Let me know how the showing goes." So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
we cater to that.
Yeah. Um, Going in to put a proposal together or putting in a bid, what's like a big win? Like where when you knew you were competing against maybe another team for the same property, for the same building or portfolio, what's been the biggest win where you said, yes, we killed it, we nailed that presentation?
I'd say on the island. On the island, it was oddly enough because in our neighborhood, you know, we feel very confident anyway. You know, we've definitely turned down business, and not to say, oh, well, we don't need it or we don't want it, but if we feel that we can't service it, we
Mm-hmm.
will certainly just say, hey, you know what, use X company or use our good friends here. Um, but our pre-sale story has been also quite organic. And over the years, a lot of our single-family builders have morphed and grown into townhome builders or condo builders. And again, over the years, where they said, "Hey, you did a great job for our single-family home. Will you sell my townhome project, or what are your thoughts?" Um, and we would just say, "No, use. We'd love to, but we can't service you. So use X company." And they did a great job. But we'd hear back a couple of years later, and they'd come back and say, "Hey, well, when you're ready, we'd love to take you." So where I'm going with the story is we actually pitched on the island, and we thought we looked at each other. I remember it was last year in the winter, and we looked at each other and said, "Is this something we can do? Are we doing the right thing for the client? Do we understand the demographic? And do we have what it takes on our plate to take it on? Like, will we drop the ball anywhere else?" So we looked it over. I think we did a great job on that one. We felt really good about that one, and we also ended up selling out the building, which was even better.
Awesome.
But
Congratulations.
pitch, thanks. That pitch was, I'd say, a big win for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
getting that project was a very big win, but also not being in that market on a day-to-day basis where we took a step back and real estate is changing, and we're trying to be as forward thinking and progressive as we can with the changing real estate market. So we actually looked at that building, took that building, essentially restructured the units in that building.
It's true, yeah.
And basically went back to the developer saying, hey, I know the island realtors are saying X for unit mix in that building. However, where we think the market is going, we think we should build it X way in unit allocation. And again, it comes back to trust and working relationship. They trusted us in our opinion on how to structure that building with the unit mix. We went ahead and rolled with it.
Our deck had the whole outline. I remember presenting to them saying, "Yeah, we know you have a bunch of 2 bedrooms, but we think you need some studios and 1 bedroom." Anyway, that was a good one.
And majority of the realtors, I guess, on the island were saying the opposite. And we're like, trust us. This is where we think the market is going. And they did trust us, and we sold out sitting in South Surrey.
That's fun.
So how did you service that then? So you sold out while you were in South Surrey, but the project was on the island. Was it all virtual or yeah?
Yeah, this one was really great. There was some digital assets that we used to sell. And we also know the developer, so we can back the project. Like some developers that are maybe new to our spectrum, selling everything out maybe digitally and not knowing the type of quality work that they may have done can be a bit of a challenge. But we know this developer quite well. We've seen their work, so we could back that and put our brand behind it. But we did do a lot of digital marketing. We also tapped into the realtor network that we built over the years. I know I saw you guys at the framework retreat, and we talk a lot about collaboration. And I'd say definitely over the last, specifically 5 years or so, we've done a lot of collaboration with realtors over the years. And just being able to have them as a bit of an extension, not a team, but an extension of our team, and say, hey guys, we got this coming up. Like there were some agents that came back to us saying, we had no idea you had this, and we've got 20 investors. So we actually were able to navigate our current network and the relationship and trust that we built with our colleagues to bring some of the buyers out. And a lot of them were from the Greater Vancouver and Lower Mainland area.
I was going to ask that. I was going to ask what percentage of the building was sold out from agents locally here.
We have do you remember the percentage on that? It was quite high.
It was quite high. It was in the 80%.
Yeah,
tile.
I'm not surprised though.
Yeah, was sold from realtors outside of the island, right?
So because you made them into smaller units, were they primarily investors from the Lower Mainland?
Yeah. We saw a lot of investors. You did have some clients looking at it. It was in Langford in specific.
That's a good area.
It's such a great area. It's just been so awesome to see what the mayor and the city's done there. So we've kind of grown a little bit alongside with our developers out there. But with that being said, I'd say that the unit mix was really attractive for some of our clients who have kids that might be going to university out there. So when they bought the unit, they kept in mind investment, but they also kept in mind, hey, my son or daughter might be going to UVic. And if I can get in now, and the timing was amazing because the building completion is right around just after the university is built, and we're just minutes away from that. So anyway, off topic, but to answer your question, coming back to investment, we certainly saw quite a few investors.
I'm going to segue for a second, and then I'm going to ask you guys a question because Sidra, you said something really important. You had said that your first few deals when you started were you picked up some expireds and then it happened organically. I'm an avid door knocker. I love it. I think it's so fun. I don't do it as much anymore because I don't have the time. But what's interesting is you also mentioned at one point boots on the ground. So I'm still door knocking for fun. A common theme that keeps coming up with potential sellers locally in the Metro Vancouver area is that they're moving to the island. There's no way of necessarily knowing that and getting into the mind of a consumer that would be on the island without actually having those conversations. So it's interesting. It's interesting. And I'm not surprised by the investment. I mean, I was going to guess 75% of that building, but I was low because you said 80. 75% of the building would have been sold by local realtors because people, they're saying something similar, with the changes in the city. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, Toni. I know you do a lot of door knocking. I've heard your stuff and I love it. I think you've got some really great gems. But it's funny because I think it was 3 years ago or 4 years ago, a lot of my clients here in White Rock were moving out to Kelowna. And I didn't know. Kelowna's beautiful, but I heard that trend. And then the next year, you're seeing all these buildings start selling out from Lower Mainland.
Yep.
And it's nice to have feet on the street and just understanding consumer mentality. You start to see it later.
Yeah, no, exactly. I know that you guys had mentioned working together in your partnership. It's been a learning experience. What have you learned the most about yourselves in partnering with one another? Like one thing.
For me, it was letting go of the control. I'm a type A. I'm a total type A. So it was really tough. It's still something I find myself doing where I'll say, okay, I'm just going to look it over. And, but I do feel really fortunate. I feel fortunate to have the partnership with MANDEEP because he does keep it, you can probably tell with his demeanor and style, it's very level. It's always open. Like, we will have subject removal that's collapsing at like 11 p.m. at night. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what's going on. He's like, okay, well, we'll work it out. It'll work out. And it's always consistent. Like, it's not just he is always consistent. So I learned a lot about that because for me, again, with my personality and the way that I was used to dealing, on my own. I'd say the control aspect was big, but I'm also fortunate to be able to give up control with somebody that I actually trust, which I think is huge. It's been huge for me.
Yeah, similar. Just delegating. I've always been in the past from school to my first career as a financial planner, having control of or trying to master everything and making sure that I have the last check and having everything under my control. Delegating, I think, is huge for us now. It's the only way I think you can truly grow and expand and keep everything consistent, on brand, and get to where we want to achieve by delegating, letting go of and building a team around us. It's the only way to truly grow consistently. For us to do everything we did as an individual agent and take on projects, it's extremely difficult, right? So I think both of us have in the last few years, we're delegating quite a bit more now than we have in the past, and I think truly it's allowed us to take on projects and take on multiple projects comfortably. And I think that's why I don't panic anymore, right? And there's always a solution to everything as long as we build the team correctly and delegate and trust everybody on the team to do the task, right?
Yeah,
so,
for sure. Like being able to, I could, and not that I do often now anyway, but if I needed to go on a vacation or I was like, hey, you know what, I'm going to be gone or, for a day or two here, and just knowing that it's handled has been pretty huge. But also at the same time, keeping the transparency with one another. Like, hey, this is what's on my plate right now, and I might need you to assist or step in. That's been pretty key. Like if we're going to have 12-hour days, lock it in. This is what Saturday is going to look like. And it's nice to have somebody who can understand that.
Sidra, this question's for you. So one tip is delegating. What are 2 more tips you can give to our female listeners who want to produce at a really high level where they are just entering into this kind of normal market? What can you give to them today? What kind of advice?
This was something that I said earlier, but I'll go into it. You're never too small for the business. Like I feel like, and I was again quite young when I started, being 23 and going up to homes. I'm not saying that it's, natural to go up to a home that's, 10, 15 million and door knock it and say, I'm going to help you sell it when you have no sales under your belt. But I really, really, I can't stress it enough that there's some really good business out there. And although it looks like there's a lot of realtors that are producing high level, especially as a female, and I don't know, maybe guys can relate to it. Obviously, I'm not in that boat, but like it's daunting. It's kind of scary. Like when you're starting out, like I'm going to go knock on this door and maybe it's I'm going to get rejected or whatever the case may be. So I'd say one of the tips is definitely to go after the business, but go after business you love. Like I would look at these photos of these homes and I'd say, I love that kitchen. Like that's not a lie. I'm not sure like that the passion is there. I'm going to show it and I'm going to bring my feminine energy to show it. Like I'm going to talk about things that maybe guys will miss, like, hey, this is a functional kitchen and here's why, like check out the storage in this drawer. Like, things like that I feel we can bring to the table. So even I'd say definitely go after the business, even when you're new. If you like something, I think that energy really comes through, but it won't come through without hard work, of course. All of that, all the stuff you read is important there too. I'd say that's my first tip. And my second tip, I'm a big believer in mentorship, like really big. I still have a mentor. I will always have a mentor. I feel like you're always learning, and I really connect well with other women in this business as well. The men are incredible too, but there's some women, also some women that we were all in the same room with, the last time around at the retreat. I'd say if you find somebody that you connect with and somebody that's willing to mentor you, I would definitely advise to move forward. And that mentor can be somebody you talk to once a month, but having a mentor that'll guide you will save you a lot of trouble, a lot of time, and be able to point you in the right direction. That was really big for me and still is.
And is your mentor in the real estate business, or is this more like a life mentor?
I have a life mentor. He's not in the business, but I have some amazing mentors within the business. They're incredible. But right now, for me, in the stage of my life and where I am, um, it's a life mentor. She's like my spiritual mentor, my well-being as well as my business,
Love it.
and I'm just so grateful for that. So yeah.
We need it. What are you working on right now that you are most inspired by?
Mandeep, you go first.
I'm being a mic hog, so you go.
No, we have some great projects coming in great pockets where we haven't done marketing. So extremely excited to launch some programs in those areas. Um, I think right now that's for me that's the biggest, right?
Mhm.
Entering into new not up and coming, but new markets where we can go in and do what we do, really make a splash in these new markets is always exciting. It is challenging, but it's extremely exciting. That's what.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm going to play off of that
yeah.
too, because we have some projects where we're working in areas to have effective pricing where the developer is happy, but
Mhm.
also be able to provide an affordable approach. I know affordable in BC housing is like it's hard to put those in the same sentence,
Mm-hmm.
but housing in BC is obviously expensive, and some of these neighborhoods just need it. So
Mhm.
being in tune with the city and what they're wanting to see, and be able to build that happy medium for the developer and the end user has been really fun. So we're working on some stuff now where we can go ahead and present to the public an affordable, what we believe is an affordable solution in a great neighborhood, and the developer is also happy with it. So that's been, it's really keeps us going because it's nice to be able to hear from some of these families and tap into that. It's
Mhm.
rewarding. It feels really good.
Much needed.
Much needed.
We're almost rounding out the year. I know it doesn't feel like it, but we're almost at the end of October. What's on each of your bucket lists for 2023?
Oh, that's a good one.
And it
I
could
got a
be
long
Pacific
bucket
real estate related or personal, right? Because the personal feeds the business. Joy.
Yes, yes. Um, my bucket list is long. I have a very long bucket list. I'm trying to think of and I'm going to bring a personal element because you've heard a lot of business on this call. I've actually never really been to like Europe and Italy and done that whole thing. I've just been in such like in crazy work mode. So if there's a 2 week period that I can get away, that's on my bucket list with my family.
I challenge you to just book it in your calendar now instead of waiting for the 2 weeks that are not as busy because that's not going to happen. You have to
Yeah,
block out the
you,
time.
you know it. You know it so well.
Mandeep,
But
how about you? Yeah, I know you have a family as well, right? You've got 2 little ones?
Yeah, I got two little ones
Yeah.
in grade 4 and in kindergarten,
Aw.
and busy with school, busy with their activities. But
Mm.
my bucket list for 2023 is work related.
Okay.
We have a vision of where we want to take our team, both on the single family side and the project marketing side.
Mhm.
And our goals are stretch goals. And 2023 is, I think, it's going to be an interesting year overall in the real estate market, but huge opportunities um, for us, Pacific Real Estate and realtors in general. Just the way the market conditions are.
Mhm.
I think my bucket list is to ensure that we hit and exceed our goals for 2023.
So it sounds
It's
like your goal for your bucket list 2023 is growth and expansion for
growth.
your real estate team.
Yeah.
Love it.
Having said that, and earlier you said you want to make a splash.
Mm.
Like, can you describe exactly, specifically, what that splash is? Is it you're going to increase your advertising? Are you going to grow, like add an additional member on your team? Are you going to, what does that look like? What are some of the actionable strategies that you have in place?
For project marketing, real estate is changing, and we're doing things we believe a little different, and yet achieving high price per square foot sales numbers for our developers in a very timely manner. We think of selling out strategic units and in a time frame in different markets. So, making a splash overall, just bringing the luxury feel into the pre-sale market more on the virtual side of things, and getting away from traditional real estate, how real estate's always been done over the last X number of years. I think we're just bringing a new, fresh approach to project marketing without hindering on the developer side of things, price per square foot, and also making it buyer friendly and trying to hit the affordability for both investors and the end users, right? So we've been able to achieve, I'd say, both sides of the equation virtually, sitting in South Surrey and being able to sell out buildings outside of the local market.
I'd say, and further that too is one thing that both MANDEEP and I share, and it's not always great in our field, is we don't. For a long time, we didn't push out a lot of our results, like on Instagram and on social. We'll do it sometimes, but definitely after COVID, I have to say on my Instagram, I kind of was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna go silent and it didn't mean that I wasn't working. I was still working, 10, 12 hours a day. You guys know how busy it was, but he wasn't even very active on Instagram at the time anyway, and I actually took a step back from my Instagram because we were functioning, analyzing our back end and moving some parts and forming Pacific and all of that. So anyway, I'd say that to come back to making a splash, we kind of had to come to terms with the fact that we're going to have to be okay to be on camera. We're going to have to be okay to go and say yes, to share some insight that we have or learn and share and grow together. Podcast, we're so grateful to be here. This is your first podcast. And this is my first
thank you.
Year. Well, you guys are just so great to obviously I've seen your dynamic and how you guys have built what you do, which is just so inspiring. So, for us, making a splash also means to be able to let people know what we do, because we do it quietly behind closed door. We're going to continue to do it, but for where we see our brand going, just making that splash to let people know that we're here. This is what we can offer.
That.
Yeah.
I get that.
We're going to round off here with our 5 rapid fire questions. And it's whatever comes first in your mind. And
don't think, just say.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. MANDEEP, most inspiring book you've ever read?
Brian Serhan's books.
Oh, yeah. Those are great.
You actually gifted that to everybody. He gifted Big Money Energy to everybody.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good book.
Sidra, how about you?
Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah, it's a classic.
Okay.
One piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
So for me, hard work and dedication, staying consistent, blocking out the noise all around, and just continue to work hard. I just think if you continue to work hard consistently, you will achieve what you want to achieve. The old school way.
Sidra?
Mine would be just stay authentic and true to yourself. When I was growing up, there was a lot of moving parts, and social was starting to come up, and everyone's doing their thing. But staying authentic and staying true always takes you a lot further.
This was going to be a hard one. What would you prefer if you had to pick one? Selling resale luxury properties or pre-sale developments?
Oh, that's a tough one.
I know. Sorry, that's a hard one.
That one is tough.
For me, I'll say pre-sale.
Okay.
That's a tough one for me. I have to be honest. I'm so torn between the two, but I'll go with the luxury. I enjoy.
That's why you guys are a dynamic duo.
I'm gonna take that.
I know why MANDEEP's is pre-sale, because I'm like him. It's just bottom line, numbers driven, results oriented.
Yeah. No, I mean, I am too.
Too much emotions when it comes to.
I am too. I also, I like the other side too.
Who is your role model in your life?
Mine are my parents. They really are. It sounds cliche, but it's 100%. Like what I see, they're immigrant parents. When I've seen what they've done and what they've done for our family and why we're where we are today, my parents are just so incredible.
Do you speak a second language?
My family can speak, well, yes, Urdu. Mine's not very fluent. We're from Pakistan. So Urdu is the native tongue. I'm not very fluent. I can connect some words. That would be my second language.
Who's your role model, Mandeep?
For me, everything I do is for my wife and my kids.
I was gonna guess that.
You're pretty incredible.
Yeah.
For that.
So for me, everything is around my wife, who's extremely supportive, and just my kids, right? So
I like that answer.
they allow me
And
to work
where?
24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You work all the time. She's lucky. Yeah. You're lucky.
And where can our listeners find you guys?
Well, we are online. You can find us at Pacific Real Estate on Instagram. I believe it's pacific.realestate on Instagram. And then my individual handle is at Sidra Subzwari. And yours is?
At MANDEEP BASI.
Awesome. Thank you, you two. This was an amazing to get an insight behind the curtains of what you guys do. So we really appreciate you sharing all the exciting things that are in place and that are coming in the future. So really good luck to you guys. Looking forward to just keeping tabs and seeing the new splash that's going to happen in the new year. Thank you.
Let us know your success. It's going to happen. I mean, it already has happened, but let us know all of the things that happen for you in the new year. It'd be great.
Yeah, we're behind you.
Awesome. Thank you both.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Jenny. Thanks, Toni.
Thanks, guys.